Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are well. My movie suggestion for the week is The Seeds, now playing free on YouTube and the Tubi app. Let's get down to business, everybody. This is a multifaceted live stream pertaining to true crime. We're going to discuss Sean Puffy Combs, Sarah Boone, the jumper, the African American male that jumped the the judge, I believe it was Las Vegas. The first of the year, he will now be going to trial, facing some very serious charges for older crimes and also the assault on the deputies in court and that said female judge. And also, after I discuss this commentary, feel free to chime in on any open crime subject matters we can discuss briefly. Malin, Sodo, the debacle transpiring down in Florida, and other crime. And I also want to touch on the migrants as well. Thank you for your time. Let's get down to business, everybody. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. More trouble for Sean Diddy. The federal authorities investigating Diddy to possibly get a criminal indictment against the music mogul are chugging along, issuing a new grand jury subpoena related to a hotel in Florida. According to new legal docs obtained by TMZ, federal prosecutors from the Southern District of New York got a subpoena requiring the fancy Miami hotel to cough up documents and other evidence related to Diddy. Diddy and his ex, Daphne Joy, are both named in the subpoena. The subpoena calls for the hotel to hand over reservation records involving Diddy, Daphne, and other associates of the Bad Boy Entertainment CEO. The subpoena specifies the period from January 1st, 2008 to the present, asking for check-in, check-out dates, room numbers, guest preferences, and requests, and billing information, including room service. Federal prosecutors also requested email and mailing addresses and phone numbers, along with forms of payment such as cash and credit cards. Wow. And also Lil Rod, one of the people who brought forward allegations against Sean and also a civil lawsuit. He has spoken out pertaining to Sean recently, and basically he feels like he's being shunned for his truth. Now, once again, you are innocent until proven guilty, and Sean has yet to go to court for these said allegations by Lil Rod and some other women. There are quite a few women now who have brought forward allegations against him for sexual assault, drugging, so on and so forth. But Lil Rod feels like he's getting a bad rap for coming out, speaking, bringing forward the allegations. So what do you think? Is he getting a bad rap? Should he have came forward? Do you even believe the allegations by him? I think what would be troublesome to many people is the fact that a grown man would allow someone to allegedly force them into sex with another human being. That's just unheard of. Okay, we're not talking about a teenage boy. We're not talking about a boy child being coerced, forcibly raped, so on and so forth. We're talking about a grown man. So I think that's going to be hard for many people to look in their minds and say, how did you get into a predicament that you would allow this man to force you to have sex with another woman, a man, threesome, group sex, whatever the allegations are? Just many people are going to find that hard to believe. Some are going to even find it hard to believe that a woman could be claim forcible rape, assault with other parties, unless you were drugged. And then naturally, if you're drugged, you don't know what you're doing anyway, because you wouldn't be doing anything. You'd be lying flat. So you're entitled to your opinion. Sarah Boone. She's my next update. Sarah has a new lawyer, and also the trial is going to commence, so she can just stop with the shenanigans. Thinking she's not going to be getting in that courtroom. It's time for her to get her time in the court, because it's over 4 years now since the unaliving of the boyfriend in the suitcase. So it's time to get this party started. Let's get down to business pertaining to Sarah Boone. Florida judge refused to delay Sarah Boone's murder trial, saying it's the defendant's own fault that her attorney has only a month to prepare. Boone was smiling as she appeared in court on Tuesday for a hearing alongside her new attorney, the ninth to represent her on charges she killed her boyfriend, Jorge Torres Jr. Torres was found dead, zipped inside of a suitcase after a night of drinking. James Owens, who stepped in to represent Boone, asked Judge Michael Cranick to delay the murder trial until the end of this year or the beginning of 2025, citing a need to hire expert witnesses to pursue a battered spouse defense. Owens joined the case August 30th because Boone struggled to represent herself after Judge Cranick ruled she had forfeited her right to an attorney. So this Mr. Owens has decided to take on Miss Boone's case on his own accord. She did not reach out to him, from my understanding. He decided to help her out. What is baffling about this information is that, well, you have seen the past behavior of Miss Boone with her other attorneys, and they all just jumped ship because of her disposition, her attitude. So what makes you think you're going to be able to get on board? I'm confused. I do believe he said he would take it on. I don't think she contacted him. If not, I'll stand corrected on that. It says Owens said he plans to hire 2 forensic psychologists to serve as experts to bolster a battered spouse defense, but the deadline to file a notice for that defense is September 7th. Owens said he has been unable to access digital evidence or go through the discovery that now sits in boxes with Boone at the Orange County Jail. Among the experts Owens said he wants to hire is Dr. Michael Brannon, who recently testified after diagnosing Marsha Thompson with battered wife syndrome. In July, a jury found Thompson not guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of her husband. Judge Cranick refused to continue the trial, noting that the case had already been pending for 4 years, 6 months, 4 days. He admonished that Owens was fully aware of the trial dates and deadlines when he stepped into the case, and said that Boone only has herself to blame for her previous attorney's withdrawals. Speaking outside of court after the hearing, Owens said that he has unsuccessfully attempted to negotiate a plea deal for Boone, but will move forward with the case despite being unable to secure a continuance. So did he talk to Ms. Boone to say, hey, I think it's in your best interest to cop a plea? Did he talk to her? I don't see her saying, yeah, I'm going to take a plea. She's probably saying, I've come this far. I could have done that when I first got arrested and appeared in court. She wants to say, hey, I didn't do this. I didn't commit a crime, second-degree murder. Feel free to watch Court TV for the said commentary with Mr. Vinny Politan pertaining to Sarah Boone and this debacle. What do you think? Is the charge right for her, second-degree murder? She sealed her own fate naturally by filming it. That was a stupid thing to do. And I think a lot of people are realizing how stupid it is to film people, such as Mr. Stephen Stearns. Thou shalt not film children. Take pictures of children. Film sexual assaults of children and others. Thou shalt not film someone in a suitcase and then talk junk to them while they're in the suitcase and then get arrested and expect to have a bond and walk free. I keep trying to tell people, Florida is not the place you want to play around. There are times when Florida has a jury and they will, give somebody a pass, such as Casey Anthony and that Zimmerman dude. But I do believe there is something seriously wrong with the water in Florida. What it is, I don't know. If it's all that salt water, dolphin water, alligator water, it's something. Because it's just something really wrong with these people down there. Okay, so once again, the judge says she has no one to blame but herself for her attorney's withdrawing from her case. Speaking outside of the court after the hearing, Owens said that he had unsuccessfully, once again, attempted a plea deal for Boone, but will move forward despite being unable to secure a continuance. I'm going to have some help, he acknowledged. I'm trying to assemble a team right now. Owens also noted that he was not working pro bono on the case, telling cameras, Sarah owes me. Well, sir, how's that going to come about? Sarah doesn't have a job. She doesn't have any money. How is she supposed to pay you? Oh, let me guess. You're going to try to secure some deals for her in exchange for your services? Now, this would be considered coercion, damn near extortion. I don't think I would have said that, sir. Because I was wondering why you would step in a day late, dollar short. So now we see. You're saying she owes me. Well. Boone is due back in court for motions hearing on September 26th. Her trial is scheduled for October 7th. That is the latest information pertaining to Sarah Boone, new lawyer, trying to assemble a team. Don't have much time. As the judge said, this has been going on for 4 years, bruh. We got to keep it moving. So you jumped on this train basically without a parachute. You're on your own, and I concur. And only a fool would have jumped on this locomotive, because this is a train that ain't got no brakes. For anybody that's kept up with Sarah Boone and her shenanigans, it's locomotive. And you damn right. You need a parachute. You need a life vest or something. Because, bro, you might want to start teetering toward the back of the train to jump off. That's all I can say to you. Hello, Kat. How you doing? Thank you for joining me. All right, everybody. We talked about Sean Puffy Combs. Grand jury has issued a subpoena for a Miami hotel for court records, documents, check-ins, check-outs, visits by Sean and a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, and Sarah Boone will be going to court in October, has a new attorney. We are now on situation number 9 with an attorney, and we're now going to talk about the jumper. Lord have mercy, is this a hot mess? This is a hot butter mess. This guy goes into court first of the year, this year, and he's getting his sentence. You know, he's there to speak to the judge about why he feels like he should not be sent to prison. And he's going on, and he's talking, you know, all eloquently to the judge. And basically, the judge is like, have you seen your criminal history? And he's like, yeah, I've seen it. And so she's like, well, if you've seen it, then you should know why I want to send you to prison. Well, he decides to jump over the judge's desk, which is a fool. Only a fool would do this. It is said that he did grab her hair. He wrestled with other deputies, court staff behind that desk, the judge's desk. One officer busted his head trying to run towards the desk. He fell and tripped, hit his head, dislocated, his shoulder. So there was a lot of shenanigans going on up in this courthouse up here in Las Vegas. It's just crazy. But we're going to hear a little bit of this jumper, and then we're going to talk about this migrant situation that's affecting America right now. We're in a bad way right now. It's getting quite ridiculous. Quite ridiculous. Court TV is the source for the jumper trial. How much time will he get? He's looking at a lot of time. He's a violent person. They're going to claim he's schizophrenic, but the judge ain't going to want to hear all of that. And sadly, we do have a lot of people who are mentally ill. They do have diagnoses, but in the end, do people care? Because you can't go around beating people with bats, knives, guns, and then go to court and say, oh, I'm schizophrenic, I'm bipolar. Nobody cares. And the victim surely isn't going to care that you're schizophrenic. Just saying. Because you could end up killing somebody. Where's the justice? That person, their life is snuffed out. Just saying. We don't have enough facilities for mentally ill people. That's one problem. We just don't have the money. We don't have the facilities to house mentally ill people. And we definitely need facilities. There are no more, state hospitals, county, city hospitals to house the mentally ill. So what is the solution? Because one, you cannot make somebody get help. You cannot make a grown person take their meds. Giving them a place to live is even more dangerous because now they have access to a key, a door, and a stove. Burn the place down when they get mad, throw things out windows, terrorize neighbors. It's bad business. Absolutely bad business.
That's where we'll begin the Judge Jumper attempted murder trial for Gilbert Redden and the charges against him. Take a listen. On January 3rd of this year, Deobra Redding leapt and tackled Judge Mary Kay Holthus. He was in court for sentencing for a probation violation connected to an attempted battery charge, which stemmed from allegations that he had attacked somebody with a baseball bat the year before. Moments before the courtroom attack, Redden asked to stay on probation instead of being sent to prison.
Based on my criminal history, I feel that I shouldn't sit in prison for a second time.
What's your criminal history? Holthus did not like his criminal history.
3 felonies, gross -2 multiple DVs.
I was there facing my mental time. I have a support system. I just got hired as a teacher for union.
After stating his case for leniency, Holthus began to sentence him to prison.
I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada,
Called her a bitch. Wow.
According to court documents, Redden punched Judge Holthus in the head and pulled her hair, and he punched a corrections officer multiple times and spit in another person's face.
Wow.
The court marshal who ran to help Holthus tripped as he tried to detain Redden, dislocating his shoulder and cutting his forehead, requiring 25 stitches. Redden is now facing a slew of new charges, including attempted murder, battery on a protected person, and battery on an officer. He invoked his right to a speedy trial and has pled not guilty.
He's also pleading not guilty based upon reason of insanity. Just like everybody else, and looking at the video, I thought Mr. Redden was either out of his mind or on drugs at the time of this incident. But after extended discussions with Mr. Redden, Ms. Springer, and other family members, I came to find out that he suffered from severe paranoid schizophrenia.
Redden ended up appearing in front of Holthus one more time to finish the sentencing hearing.
I am making my calendar page from that day an exhibit for the court. Nothing's been changed, indicating the sentence I intended to impose.
Redden was sentenced to 19 to 48 months in prison, but now he could face decades behind bars.
Again, jury selection beginning today in that case. Let's bring in our guest for this hour to discuss from Los Angeles, California, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira. Marie, you heard Deobra Redden's attorney there saying this is a case of paranoia, this is mental health. What does the jump say to you?
You know, I have to stop myself from wanting to laugh every time I see this video because it's not funny, but it is like, oh my God. I think they may have a good defense for mental health issues contributing to what he did because like his attorney said, he looked like he was out of his mind, but they need to come up with expert testimony to verify any mental health diagnosis prior to this event that they're going to try to use as a defense. I think that the state overcharged because I don't see any intentional attempted murder here. I see someone who lost their mind because the judge was about to lock him up. Is it excusable? Is there a defense for that? Yes, a battery, not an attempted murder because I don't think he intended to murder anyone.
All right, let's chop that up. Did he intend to harm, assault? Which he did. He pulled her hair, so that's an assault right there. Murdered the judge. He also fought other deputies, staff members that were there. Okay. Spit on one. That's nasty. We know people have diseases, HIV, so on and so forth. Weigh in. What should the charge be for this defendant? He's already was in court the first of the year facing a charge of assault. I believe he hit somebody with a bat, beat somebody with a bat. So he's violent. That's it. You know, whether he's schizophrenic or not, he's violent. And you can't afford to have him walking around. So he wasn't in the judge's chambers or court the first of the year because he got a jaywalking ticket. Okay? He wasn't there because he stole socks from Walmart, candy bar out of the Dollar Tree. Let's keep it real. beat somebody up. He's got domestic violence assaults. He's a busy bee, crazy or not. Now, naturally, crazy people do what they do best. They go into court and they look nice and talk well, to the judge and nod, yes, no. But as soon as he realized that conversation was going downhill, like, oh, well, you've been in here this many times, you got these many charges. He knew exactly what was getting ready to happen. So he was like, hell no, I'm getting ready to jump this bench. But only a fool would have done that. Hell, fall out, cry. As an aunt once told me years ago, if you go to court, play crazy. Fall out. You know how to act crazy. Okay, that's the point. You're already crazy, so you should have no problem playing crazy. Not to be disrespectful, because we're not supposed to use that word, that terminology, but we're just keeping it real. Play like you got something wrong with you. So that's what he should have done. He should have started talking to Noah, Job, Mary. You see where I'm going with this. The other voices, that's when they should have chimed in and started talking to him in the courtroom. I'm just saying. Should he face attempted murder charge for the assault on the judge and the staff members in that courtroom earlier this year? Weigh in.
I agree. Julia doesn't. She thinks it's an
The same
attempted
thing
murder.
Ted said, that he thinks that it's not exactly attempted murder, but what would have happened if they had not been able to pull him off of the judge? Would he have stopped him?
Probably, and he knew that they were there. The attempted murder part of it to me is a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, and
well, she's of the court. That's why she's the judge.
He's going to be on the menu, and even if they come back with battery on protected official, he's looking at significant time. What about the mental health defense, trying to get a jury to buy into the fact that he was suffering from mental illness? I mean, it seems like that's not going to happen. Talk about a leap. That might be a very difficult leap for the defense to get over that hurdle, because the court's not going to acknowledge it. So it's a tough one to go down that road, which you heard from the attorney, that's part of the equation in their mind.
Ted, you and I usually see eye to eye on these things, but I think that you're wrong. It is not a difficult leap because he does have history, according to clips that I followed when this case first came out from his family. He does have history of mental health that has been documented. So if they come up with the right expert to verify what he was experiencing in terms of diagnosed mental health issues, he could have a good defense for him being unable to control his impulses and having all that adrenaline that made him leap like a superhero over the table onto where the judge was. It had to be something mental health, and I don't think it's going to be a problem to find an expert to come in and corroborate that.
Yeah, let's listen back to what some of his family members who were there at those hearings after the fact when he came back to the courtroom. They were able to speak to the media. Take a listen. You heard about Akasoli.
So obviously his family has something they have to say. Saw the lawyer talking to the news afterwards. I believe this is the same lawyer that looks like the same guy that's representing Keefe D in the Tupac murder trial. Dear God, somebody call the paramedics. This is a nightmare already. This is an ultimate nightmare. He's all over the place representing fools.
Speak to the media. Take a listen.
Tell us about your brother and the brother that we haven't seen. Who is he like? What is he like? And how did he get in this situation?
Well, he's basically born with mental illness. He was born with crack cocaine in his system. So his chance in life was taken at birth. Deep inside, he's a good person. He's just not got the opportunity in life to be surrounded by positive people.
Do you think that this will essentially, him being sentenced, will undo all the work that he's done to repair his mental state?
No, that's Absolutely not. It's only going to put him in a worse state of mind because the system has failed him, and that's how he feels. That's how he feels that the system fails him. So he's going to come out with that mentality and go forward in life, knowing that he has created everything that he can. Being in a better place is different for us all. If he can be in a better place for a month, 30 days, for him, that's a lot.
So Marie, what they are saying goes to your point about just how long he suffered from these issues, and it sounds like there will be medical evidence of that. But I want to ask you about just the video, how people react to seeing a judge in harm's way.
Before this lady gives her commentary from this hostess question, let's talk about what's wrong with the defendant. Crack baby was on drugs, addicted to drugs at birth. So was he able to excel in school? What is the highest grade he finished in school? What other diagnoses does he have besides schizophrenia? Where are his parents? Are they alive, deceased? I'm looking at the sister speaking. I'm not trying to be mean, but she looks bad at her damn self. Shut up, Angela. Just saying. Look, her looks rough. I'm just saying. Damn, what do we always say about poor representation? If you're going to represent someone that's not well mentally, has some type of defective type disposition, please come to the table correct. I'm just saying. It doesn't help for you to come to the table looking as crazy as the motherfucker that's in court jumping the damn desk. I said that. I'm looking at her like she looks rough herself, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but she did. She does. Present tense. I'm looking at this hair, this wig, and her face looks puffy. I don't know what's something going on with her. Woo. When they say Satan's a liar, they meant that. They meant all of that. If you're going to represent somebody, family, friend, make sure that you have yourself up to par. As my father used to love to say that. God rest his soul. He would always say, they're not up to par. So when you are representing someone, you want to speak on someone's behalf, especially to the news, make sure you are up to par while you are standing in front of the camera, because it doesn't help for you to be looking just as crazy as the person who you are trying to speak and have the world show favor to, especially a judge, the public, whomever. The judge is not going to show him favor. He attacked her in an open courtroom. You know how humiliating that is, as you hear this hostess saying? It was public. It's a judge. Now, maybe not a murder charge, but damn, it's disrespectful. You know you're supposed to go into court and act accordingly. You're not supposed to raise your voice. You're not supposed to scream. You're not supposed to call the judge's name. You're not supposed to combat the officers. You're not supposed to spit on the officers. You're not supposed to throw birds and sign language in the court. You know how you're supposed to act. And we know he knows better because he was talking civilly until he heard her saying, well, you've had a lot of chances, and boom, he got triggered and jumped that damn desk. So that means he knows exactly what he's doing. So schizophrenia and he was on crack at birth ain't gonna make it. That lady feels like this. I am doing good to let him come back in my courtroom to even speak, because I thought about that months ago when he came back in the courtroom. They had him all tied up and face covered up. She probably was scared as hell to have him back in her courtroom. And now I got to officiate him in trial too? No, I want to get this over with. I want him gone. Let's get the party started. Amen. She could have passed it on to another judge. Hey, you deal with him. You sit in there. Because I don't know, he might get crunk, get loose again. Next time he turns somebody's whole damn head off. Because the fact that he was fighting all those men in there, he's strong. And he's not no big swelter guy either. But that crazy MF, he is strong. And they have said it about people who have mental issues. They can throw down. And he threw down up there the first of the year. He jumped that damn desk like Superman. He took that damn judge down. And them other officers and staff were up there trying to wrestle with him. They couldn't do nothing with him. That's the point. That's why, yes, he needs prison time. Now, what happens to him when he gets out? hey, that's on the good citizens of Nevada or wherever he's released. What you all want to do with him again?
How challenging is it going to be to get a jury to look past that when you have this video and you have this judge who, again, battery on a protected person, it really exacerbates things.
It does exacerbate things, and that's where jury selection comes into effect. If the defense picks the type of jury who has had little contact with the system, who are not pro-system, who dislike judges, and who feel like, you know what, the judge was rough on him, didn't want to listen to what his situation was, they may somehow empathize with him. That's where voir dire is going to be very important, and jury selection will be important because you don't want to pick people who are pro-system. You want to pick people who could say, yeah, that judge really had it coming. Unfortunately, there are people like that out there who could sneak on the jury.
Well, yeah, we'll see that. You have to maybe find that person. You have to get lucky in voir dire because no one's going to admit that, not during jury selection.
All right, that's the latest. If you're going to trial, have mercy, have mercy. The migrant situation is out of control in New York, Colorado, Chicago, major cities. What is the solution for the migrants? What will become of all these people? They are wreaking havoc in the city, throwing down, beating up people. We have an issue in Colorado where they are taking over an apartment building, a gang from the Honduras. This is what is expected. Violent people coming into the country illegally. You don't know them. You don't have their social security number. You don't have any way to track them. Now they're just bogarting damn apartment buildings. Where would they get AR-15s and heavy artillery? Help me understand. Because this looks like some people who are probably already here. Not a new migrant that just got here. Because what I got to ask myself, if you don't have any money, you don't have a job, how do you get access to some AR-15s? Help me understand. Help the queen understand. Let's see who we're going to start with first. Let's start with New York. Because they've got some serious problems right now. Sweet Jesus.
Encampments popping up on Randall's Island. Exactly what Mr. Adams plans to do, that's yet to be seen. And where will those people go anyway? Well, that's the whole issue unto itself. I'm going to News 4 NJ Birkin. Heard from the mayor today. He joins us live on Randall's Island with the very latest. Nope.
And right, Bill, as you know, the mayor has been very clear on this for months. You cannot camp out in New York City. As you can see behind me, there are migrants living in tents here on Randall's Island. Now, the city has been very good about this, moving tens of thousands of people out of the shelters and even out of town. But clearly, that doesn't work for everybody.
Why are you sleeping out here? His name is Amadou, and he lives beneath a tree on Randall's Island, surrounded by what little clothes he has and a pile of plastic bottles, his only source of income. Speaking in French, he tells us he's been homeless in New York for more than a year. On the outskirts of a soccer field, migrants from South America are living in tents, drying their clothes in the sun after washing them in the East River. Still others are gathered outside the Randall's Island shelter, claiming they have nowhere else to go because shelter stays are limited to just 30 days. Administration officials seem determined to keep Randall's Island from becoming a refugee camp without forcing a confrontation.
We don't want to be heavy-handed. We don't want to be insensitive.
Don't want to be insensitive. Well, there's a problem, sir. See, the border should have been sealed many moons ago. Not yesterday, not 4 years ago, not 8 years ago, not even 20 years ago. The border should have been secured the first time American cities, towns saw an influx of people coming over. So we're probably talking about at least, 60 years? Not 20, not 30. So you got to start at the beginning. And blaming this politician, this president, it's a waste of time. Everybody who has been in office has had enough time to get a wall built, all borders secure, all the way up to damn Canada. Just stop it. You can secure the border of Canada, New York, coming in, top states, Midwest, East Coast, all the way to Pacific Northwest. What is the problem? Because you can best believe you're not running your ass over into Canada. I can tell you that. And they ain't running over here. So this border business, it needs to be secure. There are people who have properties on these borders, such as Texas, and these people have a right to their property. They have a right to defend their property. Nobody has a right to be going to jail because you're coming and you're loitering and you're throwing, debris, paper, clothes. Old man trying to fight off some people he don't know nothing about, but you're going to arrest him. This is crazy. Oh, because he shot a gun in the air or whatever. This is ignorant to me. He has that right. He lives there. Whomever, old, young, doesn't matter. The property owners. This has got to stop. People are coming here from all over. And it's not just South American countries, Mexico. They're coming from China, Japan, all kind of crazy places, selling their worldly goods, booking a flight, watching damn YouTube videos on where to fly in to get into Mexico, to get into the United States, if you didn't know that. Feel free to go on the YouTube Q on how to get into America from other countries. They have tutorials. So we've gone from showing you how to put on makeup, lipstick, fix a wig, to, hey, let me show you how you can get into America. This ain't good. And the sick part is the obvious. People coming here with bad backgrounds, bad dispositions. They're coming in as sadists, child molesters, rapists. Hell no. We already got that problem here. We got our own sickos, wackos here. We don't need no extras. So now, New York government has put out migrants from the hotels. So now New York has an influx of homeless people on the ground, moving about. Some are violent. Children. What are they going to do? Because winter is vastly approaching. It's not like winter in Florida, winter in California. Hell, not even like winter in Tennessee. Winter in New York is like standing on top of the Empire State Building and deciding to jump the hell off. It is suicidal. It is not a place you want to be when that cold hits. And I think some of these people have seen what it's like to be in New York City if they came to New York last year when it was cold outside. This moving migrants around from city to city, this is not working. Colorado was a sovereign place. That's not working. Chicago, that's not working. New York, hell no, it ain't working. New York is not big like people think it is. If you have ever looked at the United States map, you can barely see New York. So that should tell you something. That is a very small state, and the island is small. It's just filled with buildings. New York City is not big at all. It is not big. So you think about all the people who naturally live on the island, legally live there with a social security card and an actual address, and then plus all these damn migrants floating around. And we know that desperate people do desperate things. So even if you came to this country with the hope of being free and getting wealth, you are now on the streets. Imagine that. Imagine the dream. I'm going to go to America and I'm going to have this great life because you've been watching TV shows and videos thinking it's so great over here. Yes, our country is better than most countries, but you still have to be self-sufficient at some point to have things and have a better life, have a good life. And you're not going to be able to have a good life robbing, stealing, killing people. And that is what's going to happen to many of these migrants. They're going to become vultures if they haven't already or came here with that mentality. That's why you have an influx of crime that took place in New York in the past year or two, with them coming in, young people, robbing people, sexual assaulting people, moving around the country, sexually assaulting people. And that's a dangerous situation. And so whether they stay in New York or not, if they are afforded a free pass to jump on another damn Greyhound bus tour bus and get dropped off in the next man's land. It's the same situation. So it doesn't matter if it's New York, California, Nevada, Tennessee. They have to go somewhere, and that's a problem. Because people are starving and barely living in Tennessee. We have nowhere to live here. They're building houses, building apartment buildings. Some are mid-income, some are working class to mid-income. But the point is, you're going to have a job, good credit, and more than likely, you can't have a criminal background. So you see where I'm going with this. Where are these foreign people going to live? They don't even have a social security number, don't have a valid job. They're not going to be able to go rent an apartment, $1,300 a month for one bedroom. And then if you help them, you got to look over your shoulder because you don't know who you're helping. We've seen that just with American citizens, trying to help people get on their feet, give them work, give them a job, pick them up. Next thing you know, they're cutting your throat. We live in a jacked up society. It's called blind trust. Who do you trust? You don't know who to trust. This is not working. This is definitely not working. Lord help us. God help us all. So we have the mayor talking. Let's see what's going on out west. Gangs taking over an apartment building. Colorado. This is bad. This is really, really bad.
All right, everyone. Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. We'll take a look at this really disturbing video. It has been making the rounds, going viral. This is out in Aurora, Colorado, and it's one that is making headlines, of course, all over the country, where the mayor of Aurora says Venezuelan gangs are overrunning
Venezuela, sorry,
as part of an organized criminal effort. Local police have called the incidents isolated, but surveillance video from at least one of the complexes is very startling, as you can see from this video right here. Now, we want to go on for more on this story about what's happening in Aurora. We're joined by Fox News senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse. William.
Many say the problem began when the Biden-Harris team opened the border with migrant apprehensions from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, jumping from 17,000 in 2020 to 600,000
that's too many
in 2022. So the administration created the CHNV program, which provided migrants from those four countries with humanitarian parole and invited them in. But auditors found widespread fraud in the program, migrants lying on their applications, sponsors using fraudulent identities, including dead people, and traffickers demanding payment from those they sponsored.
They're literally just funneling people into the United States under this program with no expectation they're ever going to leave.
Exactly. Well, why would they leave?
And
they're
that's
here.
what sources say we are seeing now a mix of innocent migrants along with graduates of the Venezuelan prison gang Tren de Agua, extorting tenants for payment.
There are several buildings actually under the state ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. We did everything we could to quite frankly, keep them out of the city because it's not our problem. This is a federal problem.
So DHS briefly suspended that CHNV program, but restarted it this week, saying they've worked out the kinks. Well, it invites about 30,000 illegal migrants a month to enter the U.S. from those four countries. Now, critics say there are two problems. One, we still have no way to vet these migrants because we can't get at their criminal histories because those countries will not cooperate, and we can't send them back because their countries won't take them back, which is why you see some of the behavior these gang members appearing to act without any regard to police. It's illegal for them to carry a firearm, and you see from the video they've got plenty of long guns and handguns as well. Because if they're going to be arrested, they're simply going to be released, and they're not going to be deported because we can't keep them, right? Can't afford to keep them. And all those people you see, we have the biometric information on them, but police are not making any arrests. I'll send it back to you.
So, what's the plan here with this? I mean, are they just going to be able to stay for as long as they want? I mean, what's the plan to actually apprehend these people?
So the local police department is allegedly working with the feds, but I will tell you, while Denver is a sanctuary city, Colorado is not officially a sanctuary state.
Oh, it's not? I thought it was.
There are a lot of prohibitions,
Okay, I said Colorado was a sanctuary state. Pardon my discrepancy. It's Denver, not the entire state, which that's weird to me, to have one city as a sanctuary city, but not the entire state. So I don't know the bylaws and rules on all of that, but it's a problem. it's a pandemic, because the numbers just mentioned up to 600,000 people in 2022. Biden administration allowed foreigners into the country. That's a problem. I mean, you just use common sense. And now with the influx of rent hikes, homeownership is up as far as the value of a home. It's a problem. It's a major problem. And although wages have gone up, but they're still not meeting the criteria for standard living, especially if you have children and debt, you are going to be shit out of luck. It's just the bottom line. And yet I still don't understand why people are still having children knowing they can't afford them. This is not the 90s. We are no longer living in the 90s, early 2000s. Shit changed in 2007, 2008, with the stock market falling all the way down. And now everything is so expensive. You have the luxury to order online. Things are a little cheaper that way. But you understand what I'm saying? You still got to pay water, lights, gas, mortgage, rent. That's the problem. Car note, car insurance. Those are the things that are very expensive. The necessities. Food is very expensive. Now you imagine you're feeding 4 or 5 mouths plus yourself, a spouse, a partner. You're deciding, well, do we eat or do we buy toilet paper? Do we buy soap? Do I put gas in the car? That's not something you want to barter with. Soap, shampoo, groceries, gas in the car. Gotta put insurance on the car because it's the law. See where I'm going? The bartering is the problem because most people aren't making enough money to sustain themselves, and everyone does not have the aptitude to go out here and work certain type of jobs that would pay a higher living wage. So that's another problem, which is the main problem. That's why Susie works at McDonald's and this guy's the CEO of a corporation. They don't have the same aptitude.
Told by the local police to actually cooperating with ICE or DEA or HSI, Homeland Security investigations. So I think that's going to draw things out a little bit. I think eventually they're going to get in there and have identified the troublemakers or the gang members, if you will.
Troublemakers. It's too funny.
We have nowhere to send them.
That's true.
We can put them in ICE custody for a period of time, but Venezuela's not taking people back.
Of
we
course.
don't have any diplomatic relations with Maduro at all. So it's a conundrum, right? And that's why they're acting with such impunity.
Oh, and let's be truthful, because I brought you all this commentary a year ago. China said, don't even think of trying to bring your tail back here because you can't get into America. You forfeited your rights when you walked out of China. Don't think about coming back. But let's be truthful. If a person is leaving China, they don't want to go back. Duh. Who the hell want to go back to China for what? They don't want to go back to China if they've committed a crime here. That's it. But China said, you leave here and you can't get your tail over in America, or they want to send you back, we are not letting you come back here. China is hell. No, sir. No, ma'am. you cannot return. I wonder how does Russia feel about that? Are they on the same page? You leave here, you have to come back, get sent back by the U.S. government or whomever. Do you think Russia would take their citizens back? I'm just curious.
Back to you.
And lastly, William, I mean, we're showing this video over us speaking one more time, just because, I mean, it's just so brazen the way that they just come in with the guns and really just set up shop here. Unfortunately, I mean, for a situation like this, does it almost at times, because there isn't too much happening with law enforcement, does it have to happen where somebody is injured or killed because of something of the lawlessness that happens, and that eventually will then lead to getting these people out?
You'd like to believe that, right? But let's just take a look at some of the crimes we've seen in New York City, right? The assaults of cops, and people are being let out within 24 hours, and then they find them somewhere else, and then they finally take them into custody, and there may be crimes committed in between there. You know, this problem with these four countries where we don't have diplomatic relations, where we can't just easily send people back. What I am told is happening, the big picture is, we reinstated this program even though the kinks are not worked out, right? We don't have the ability to find out who those sponsors really are. I mean, in the situation, you had 3,000 people sponsoring more than 100,000 individuals. That's not the way it's supposed to go. When you said, you know, when you were a kid, your family said, let's adopt, if you will, a family from another country and provide some money and kind of look after them or whatever, see that they, you know, settle in the United States in a positive way. Well, that's not what's happening with these programs. Once they're here, no one's watching over their shoulders. And again, this particular prison gang has clearly infiltrated this migrant program, and people being people, they're going to take advantage of the situation. So the cops have their work cut out for them, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. William Janez, thanks so much for joining us. I'm live now from Fox. We appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, that's Fox. Woo! What say you, the chat? So we talked about New York migrant situation, migrant gang taking over Colorado, apartment building in Aurora. Denver is a sanctuary city, but not the state of Colorado. We talked about Sean Puffy Combs, a new subpoena of his personal records and dalliances down at a Miami hotel. The grand jury is trying to get records, surveillance, check-ins, check-outs, guests, so on and so forth. In the current investigation pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs and the allegations against him for human trafficking, coercion, so on and so forth. Sarah Boone has a new lawyer. Mr. Owens has decided to represent Sarah. She is to start trial October 7th. He says he is not ready, but the judge says, I don't care, because you knew all of this when you decided to take on her case. And that's the truth. You didn't have to. Nobody told you to take the case. This nonsense with her has been going on for 4 years. She murdered that man the first of the year in 2020. It is now September. Time has elapsed. Time to get the party started. What's going to happen with Sarah Boone? What sentence should she get for watching her boyfriend suffocate inside of a suitcase? Weigh in. Put your comments below this video. Feel free to comment during this chat, during this live stream, and feel free to comment on my community page. I will upload a few shorts before the night is over pertaining to true crime and updates. The Seeds now showing on Tubi and in the YouTube queue for your enjoyment. Mystery thriller. Let me know how it turns out. That's most of the commentary I have for today. I've been talking about Malin Sodo briefly for the past couple of days. I was watching a lot of the content today, last night, breaking in and out of sleep, watching it. And I keep telling myself, you're going into the belly of the beast, watching all of this content pertaining to Malin Sodo, her mom, and Stephen Stearns, because it's a diabolical situation. I think I have beat my head literally into an imaginary wall for the past couple of days since I've been talking about her. I did not initially cover this story, but Court TV did a segment the other day that piqued my interest. So I decided to just chop up what was said. But the more I listen to the stories, the evidence against Mr. Stearns, it's just a very diabolical situation. It's a situation that is just hard to imagine. And it's really not even a subject matter that you can argue over, because he videotaped and took pictures. So it's set in stone. Number two, the mother puts herself in a predicament of pushing her daughter on the man and into his fold. And number three, she also puts herself in seeing the child get ready for school, allegedly, and in the car taking her to school, and then changes her version to I, we, then back to he. It's a sick case. As I said before in my commentary, Malin Sodo is one out of how many who are being currently abused right now in the United States? How many Stephen Stearns are there? And how many Jen Sotos are there? That's the point. Because no one's going to readily admit, oh yeah, I like kiddie porn. I like molesting children. Oh yeah, I like aiding a molester. Oh yeah, I like participating with a molester. And who's going to tell you they're being molested? Checkmate. This case can't get any filthier. But as I've told you all, imagine what you don't know. Okay? Now, there are going to be some people who are going to fudge some things, make up stuff for effect. We hear his parents are saying that whoever's been talking to this Mr. Hughes was not telling the truth about certain things. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know Stephen Stearns. I don't know the child. And I don't know Jen Soto. I don't know the parents. But what I do know, he's a filthy beast. Jennifer's a filthy beast. That's why they gravitated towards one another. Whether she's lonely, miserable, insecure, they're both the same. They're two lonely vessels searching for something out here that they're never going to find. And assaulting children, I don't know how you think you're going to find anything doing that. That's a fool's way. And aiding him is also being a fool. By you being a parent, a lover, a friend, associate. And all this he said, she said on his preferences and what he liked to do sexually, and he don't like women, and he told me he woke up with an erection, the ex-girlfriend. It's just ridiculous to even hear this type of SHIT repeated. All about a little child who obviously has been abused a long time. As Dr. Phil would say, if it's one day, 1 hour is too long. Bow out. But she's a child. She didn't. Obviously, she didn't tell her mother. And maybe she did. We don't know. That fool's never going to say, oh, yeah, she told me he was touching her and this and that. She's not going to tell you that. Hell no. But she was failed miserably, Malin. Because somebody should have seen the signs. Something was going on in that household. And I also wanted to talk about the roommates. I was going to do a separate video about them. I might talk about them tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and touch on it while I'm live because I'm just under 1 hour. If you had a conversation with Jennifer about her child, you should have called DHS on her ass. But what was the hold up? You know what's wrong for that woman to allow her child to go in a room with a man, and you were sitting there living in the same house on the same floor? And let's be honest, because it's now dark 30, I can touch on this. When you make love and have sex with people, you make sounds. Not too many people are silent when they have sex, unless their mouth is covered. But you ooh, ah, dirty talk. See where I'm going with this? So, not to be graphic, but it's common sense. He penetrated a child. They have pictures, videos showing this. And you want me to believe while he's doing this, he ain't saying nothing. I'm going to let that sit right there. Hello, Don. I'm going to let that sit right there. You're on the same floor, and this man's been assaulting a kid in a room. And I'm supposed to believe it was all quiet. I'm also supposed to believe it was quiet when she was unalive in the house at whatever time she was unalive. Now some people suspect she was unalive outside that morning. It's not going to really matter. The evidence is that she was being assaulted for 2 years at least in one of those rooms at the house. They have corroborated the rooms and verified the rooms per his own video and pictures. So I'm going to say this again. Were there roommates living up there on the floor in the past 2 years? Because you want me to believe you never saw him coming and going out of the rooms with the girl and you never heard any moaning and groaning in the rooms. Let's stop this nonsense. Hell no, I'm not going to stay up in this nasty ass house. I don't care if I do need a place to live. I'm not sleeping in no house where people are having sex with kids. Because I've been cleared out the room. If you understand what I'm saying. As we black folks love to say, it's going to be some smoke in the city. Because we getting ready to take doors off hinges and act a damn fool and don't give a damn if it ain't our damn place. What you doing with that door? Throwing it outside? You ain't getting ready to be sleeping with no kid up in here. And I would have bucked up right up there to that little bitty penguin, Jennifer Sodo. And what you about to do, Cookie? You don't want none. Because I'd have whooped that heifer to sleep. Oh, that'd been an easy charge. That would be an easy charge. Judge wouldn't even ask me why I did it. Because if he or she got some sense, they'd say, we just gonna throw the charges out. Now, Miss Lady, we don't want you beating up nobody else. Well, you make sure you keep her ass in jail and I won't. This is ridiculous. To even have a conversation with a heathen about their baby. Your baby in this room with this man. Okay, your baby playing games in this room. So when the person said that allegedly, they were playing games. What did they really mean? Like, oh, just wanted to let you know your kids up here in the room. Were they trying to say like they were actually playing a game, or they was using game for they were hearing some other hanky-panky stuff going on through the walls and the doors? This is insanity. But the flip side is that these things go on in households. You hear the stories all the time from adults who decide to testify and tell the world they were assaulted as children by their father, mother, cousin, brother, neighbor, relative, uncle. A lot of people have stories of being sexually assaulted as children. Groped, touched, fondled. And nobody should even have to be carrying around that type of burden. Now, this child is totally gone when she could have been rescued. But because she had a dodo bird as a mother, that's problem number one. So what you have to ask yourself, or shall I say, tell yourself, Jennifer was the problem. Because I believe the child was already in danger, rather Stephen Stearns ever stepped into the picture. Because then you can't have one without the other. They were playing off of one another. His own parents said that. With their vices, their mental illnesses, bipolar, popping pills, they got all this shit allegedly going on with them. They were feeding off of each other. They met. The universe brought these two heathens together. It's a cruel world. And nobody can tell me the devil wasn't at play bringing these two together. And they used this child as a pawn. She was used. And then she paid the ultimate price with her life. I'm very curious to what happened to Malin Sodo. What happened? Listening to content earlier where the mother says, oh, we last had her Sunday, because it was a few days later. They was outside talking to the deputy, female deputy. That would make you believe she died on Sunday. And I've said that too in my commentary. Who's to say that girl wasn't dead before 12 o'clock, midnight? Mama that came home crunk, mad. She's already showing you she's detached from her child. She didn't even go to the birthday party. His mom said she don't even keep a job. So what's the big deal by calling in and saying, hey, my child's having a party. I got to work. I got to take off today. I'll work any other day time, but I got to be there for my child's birthday. She's turning 13. Almost like it's a ruse. The party All of that. Just like somebody said on YouTube, one of the videos, who decided to have the party over at the grandmother's house? The grandmother? I can't see Stephen Stearns orchestrating a birthday party at somebody else's house. That wouldn't make any sense. Nice neighborhood, too. You look at the background, got the pond in the back, nice size houses. And then she goes over here to this little white box. If you've seen the photographs people have on their channels, which is kind of macabre, too, you all paying for crime scene photos. Who the fuck does that? And some of you get so excited. Oh, they got the crime scene photos. And? Because you do know that's macabre, right? Looking at crime scene photos on a YouTube channel that somebody paid for. I'm just saying. Because it's not like you're watching it on Dateline, Court TV. Now, someone will say, what difference does it make? Oh, it makes a big difference. It makes a really big difference. And I don't have to explain it. It's macabre. Picture, 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 picture. Picture of a car, picture of a wall, picture of a bathroom, picture of somebody's room. You see, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's go there. They were living in a white box. Floors were white, walls were white, shower curtains white, Pay attention. Dressers white, sterile. There was no life in that box where Jennifer Sodo housed her child and her lover and roommates. I noticed that. You got a bird, a cat, all this type of crazy ass nonsense, but you didn't care nothing about your child. And you see a lot of this with assault and abuse with children. It's always pets. And I've heard authorities say that here in Tennessee. Why is it every time we go do a raid on a house for meth, they always got dogs? That's a good question. You don't care about yourself. You don't care about your child, but you got the nerve to have a damn animal. Pay attention. Because a lot of sick people identify with animals. They care more for an animal with 4 legs than a human with 2 feet. Make it make sense. You hear people say that. Oh, I love animals. I care for animals more than humans. Well, you got a fucking problem. You came from a human. What the hell are you saying? You didn't come from a dog. You didn't come from a cat. You didn't come from a damn monkey. What the hell are you saying? I care for animals more than a human. Fuck out of here. Stupid people talk. But you see this all the time with child abuse. Physical, mental, sexual. They always got pets. This bitch had the nerve to have a damn parakeet. You hear the parakeet chirping and shit in the background. Watching in a news interview. The one time she smiles is when the bird's talking. Pay attention. Those interviews were telling. Jennifer Sodo. Oh, yes. Stephen Stearns as well. I learned a lot. I learned that everything was visible. And somebody should have seen the signs. That's what I saw. But that apartment bothered me. No pictures on the walls. No fake plants. No real plants. Her room looked like a room that you would see in a dorm. There was no life in her room. No pretty pictures on the wall. No pretty lamps. The things that women like. Frou-frou type stuff. Just shit piled up on metal racks. Closet packed up. Blankets, tubs. You know everybody knows how I rock. I'm OCD. So I don't like a lot of junk. I don't like clutter. So when I see stuff like that, yeah, that shit's personal to me. I'm looking like, we don't do that. But to each his own. But the point I'm trying to make is that the box is sterile where Jennifer housed her child. And it shows mind frame. Her priorities were lax. Now, you don't have to have the latest picture from Hobby Lobby and Home Goods, but damn, put a mirror on the wall. Put a throw pillow in the corner of the fucking sofa. You see where I'm going with this? It was sterile. The whole house is sterile. Because I said everything's white. White microwave, white refrigerator. Everything's white. You look at the interview where Stephen Stearns is sitting in the background. And this is when she looks like she's combed her hair, took a shower. This is probably the next day. You can see a difference in Miss Sodo. I noticed that today. I said, look at this heifer. Mouth ain't dry. Look like she's got foundation on. She looks a little bit younger in this news interview. See, she's a chameleon. She's a chameleon. I saw that. I said, what's the difference between this interview versus yesterday's interview where she's shaking like a leaf, looking all up into the sky, talking? Next interview, night and day. She looks confident, hair coiffed, talking very politely, talking like she, got some sense. And I said to myself, this heifer is guilty as sin. And I said that even with the one where she's shaking. She's more bubbly. And even when you watch other people's content where they're assessing her behavior, you got these the behavior panel, and then you got these other people who study body language. Most of the people said the same thing about the video where she's shaking, looking all off, not looking directly at the person she's talking to, the reporter, versus that next video where she's sitting inside the apartment. It's all an act. It's orchestrated. I don't know her role in what happened to Malin, but I know she knows that girl was dead. I put that on everything I own. And the fact she puts herself in seeing the child dressing what she had on, because she did have those items on when she was found dead. Stay woke. She puts herself at the school, near the school, dropping the child off, and then she switches it to I, we, then back to he. She knows what happened to her child. Whether she came in on it, tail end of it, he told her he murdered the child, or she was there when the child was murdered. Checkmate. But she has guilty knowledge of a dead child. And that's enough for me. Because as they say in the street, she didn't have to wield the baton, pull the trigger. She knew the child was dead before reporting her missing. So that's complicity for I. And if you can aid a killer, and listen to me very carefully, you might want to lean in on this one. If you can aid a killer and construct a story with the killer, you can easily be a killer. Shall I repeat that? If you can aid a lie, deception, aid a killer, orchestrate a timeline, you can just as easily have murdered the person on your own or with your partner. That's why I don't trust anything about Jennifer Sodo. Because she is in deep. And when you listen at the commentary from his father about watching her console Mr. Stearns and worry about him needing a lawyer, she has already found out about the pictures on the phone. But yet she's right there hanging on to a lump of clay who has been assaulting her child. And she also clarifies that the sex stuff is not evil, but the murder is. How the fuck did you derive at that conclusion? You can't have one without the other. Jennifer Sodo. Molestation led to the murder, more than likely. More than likely. So if you can say the sex stuff, once again, pay attention, is no big deal, then that leads me to believe you knew all along he was touching your child. And the fact that you told an officer you sent the child to his room, you were telling on yourself then. So it seems like to me, There were no secrets in this house. It was open season for whatever. And so you have to go in the belly of the beast and ask yourself what was going on before Stephen Stearns. Oh, well now. Because see, it's a whole lot deeper than just he's a pedophile. That's obvious. He let that be known. Everybody's got a story to tell. He said and she said. But who you need to be looking at is Jennifer Sodo, who she is. And how she was raising her child before Stephen Stearns came into the picture. I do believe she was using him for companionship, not necessarily sex, and a wholesome relationship or normal relationship. She needed someone. And at some point, she realized she wasn't getting what she wanted, and he wasn't either. So they both rode the ride, as Queen loves to call it, that donkey ride into the abyss. Well, I'm going to get something from him. So we learned he paid rent there. Camaraderie, chit chat, do some favors, hang a blind, you see where I'm going, a gopher. And in exchange, he can have sex with my child. Checkmate. His exchange, I can have sex with her child. Checkmate. And then you learn they're 2 hours apart. So that means he's going and coming up the highway to bed a kid. Don't know how often he was traveling up that highway, but it's still macabre. And then you got to go back in time because we learned he also had been touching the child years before, and they actually lived together. So he had been touching her. Oh, most definitely. And no way do I believe he woke up and said, oh, she's 11. I'm going to start penetrating her, taking pictures, videoing her. He's a sadist. He's a sicko. He's a wacko. Peeping Tom. Probably started as a teenager, young boy. And what did I always tell you about looking through the glass at the department store? How long can you stand there and look at the mannequin with that pretty suit and dress on? You want to go in. You want to touch the fabric. You want to try it on. Same thing with peeping Toms, sadists, rapists. I can no longer peep through the crack of the door, the keyhole. I can no longer stand and peep through the bathroom window, bedroom window. I got to go inside. Something in there that I want. I got to touch. I think most of you know this. You can't be satisfied with just looking through the glass. You got to touch. And that's what he had been doing. Touching the fabric. But then on this fateful day, either the 25th or the 26th of February, he decided to take it farther and he unalived the girl child. For whatever reason. I don't know if she spoke up. She rebuffed his advances. She didn't want to follow through, didn't want to engage sexual activity. Maybe she said something to her mother about him. Maybe she said something to both of them at the same time. It pinned her down. Who's to say? Because you're never going to get the truth either one. But if Mr. Stearns has any sense, he will tell all of the truth. How it started and who finished it. Just tell it. Save yourself, as your mother said. Because you are a loser either way, Mr. Stearns. You're going to die up in there. Because the state has decided they don't want to play with you, sadists. The state says, you cannot touch a child sexually. I'm going to give you the death penalty. You can't unalive a child. I'm going to give you the death penalty. He's fucked either way. So if he knows what's good for him, he's got to give up Jennifer Sodo in order to preserve his life. Checkmate. And it does not mean that the state will barter with him in exchange for the death penalty and then give him life by telling on Jennifer Sodo, because to them, he will be considered the head honcho. He's the manipulator. He's the orchestrator. He's the sadist. No bartering. I need his head on a platter. Even if Jennifer Sodo rode the ride. But the right thing to do is to wait. Because eventually he's going to say something. Or his lawyer's going to give up the tea. And they're going to put her head on a platter. It's just a matter of what will the state decide. She needs to go down with him because you need to set an example. We're not going to allow somebody to ride the ride with a sadist. You're not getting ready to enable him or her to abuse your child or to abuse another child. Hell no. You got to get it too. Because there's enough, in my opinion, to charge her with gross negligence, child abuse, child endangerment, because you willingly put your child in harm's way by sending her into a room with a grown man. And you willingly told the world, his father, he has pent-up urges, sex problems. So basically, you were defining the motive for murder. Well, he has sex issues. What's your point? So he has sex issues and you would forfeit your child's body, mind, spirit for what the fuck he wants? Who the hell is Stephen Stearns? Nobody. You won't even get anything out of him. You can get a man anywhere. You can find a person off the street to hang blinds. Play with the kitty. I said that. And the guy that don't like anal sex, hell, put it in your autobiography. I need a man that don't like to go into the back door. That's all you have to do, Jennifer. See, he was telling you then what he was on. He's got a look, he's got a prod, he's got the pull, tuck, take pictures, video. He's nasty. And so you settled on an even swap. But what's that old saying, Queen? Even swap ain't no swindle. So the swap was your daughter, Malin. But what did you get in the end, ma'am? Just having camaraderie with the sadists. A lump of flesh, a lump of clay. In exchange, you sold your daughter out. Pimped her out. Human trafficked your child. No way you didn't know what was going on with Stephen and your child. You knew all along, and you did not care. And I don't think the exchange is even. How could it be? There's no exchange for human trafficking a child for affection, paying rent in a fucking room upstairs. You have to be the sickest bird living. Now for you roommates, what's your problem? How do you ride this donkey ride knowing he was in there having sex with a child? Help me understand. How do you sleep at night? Because you shouldn't be able to sleep. Neither one of you should be sleeping. Jennifer, Stephen, or the roommates, and anybody else that knew what he was doing with the girl. You all sick to me. That's why I told everybody, you better pay attention because the writing is on the wall. What did I say in my live stream last week? You better try to figure out who the roommates are. Bingo card. Somebody didn't hear me. I think somebody in the back is asleep. Wake up. Who are these roommates? How could you continuously live in a house knowing a man is bedding a child? I don't give a damn if it's once a week, every 2 months. You knew. And you continue to stay there and pay rent. Why? Why did you call the police? Why did you call DHS? Why do you take that child by the hand and run out of there with her? Take her to the police department and say, baby, we got to tell somebody because I know what's going on in that room. But you continue to lay up in that house with your Cheerio boxes up on your metal stand, your makeshift room with refrigerators. Have you looked at the crime scene photos of these people's rooms? It's like a fucking dorm. Everybody's room looks like a damn dorm room. Refrigerators, miniature refrigerators, and metal racks with clothes and food and pineapples. You can't make this stuff up. You all weren't living down there in that townhouse. Yes, house of horrors indeed. You were just in a white box. Barely living. And there's something else I noticed too in those crime scene photos. Oh, you know Queen don't miss nothing. A lot of you women had a lot of tennis shoes, which I found very interesting. And I understand a lot of females wear more tennis shoes, gym shoes. I don't really care for them because my feet are too pretty. Yeah, I said that. What the hell's going on with that? Now, Queen, that's not nice. Oh, but it is. The truth shall set you free. You ladies wore a lot of gym shoes. Something you want to tell us? Jennifer, something you like to tell us about your roommates? Now, I could just be judgmental because I do have that capacity at times. Probably more than others. That's just Queen. Why are so many gym shoes on the racks? Shoe racks. I did see some perfume bottles, bath splashes in a basket or so. So I said, well, it's a toss-up. She's a little feminine. She's a little masculine. She likes tennis shoes. But it's weird when you see a lot of tennis shoes in a woman's room. I'm sorry. Part of her wardrobe. Because I don't have an array of tennis shoes. I've made sure of that. Because I'm not a tennis shoe wearer. I wear them for comfort to run around in. But it's not my first choice. Believe that. As I said, my feet are too pretty. I like my toes painted and I like my toes visible. And God knows I've paid the price for having them tootsies exposed. Flip-flop wear. Jennifer, were you doing anything with these roommates? Because his mother says you're bisexual, so I'm just curious to how all this came to be. Because there's something strange about all of it. When I said that last week. And this is before I saw the crime scene photos of the house. You were barely living down there in Florida. Beautiful complex. But it was a myth. You all know what a myth is? Or shall I say an illusion? Yeah, that's a better word. Was an illusion. Pulling up in this gated community, beautiful palm trees, ponds all in the backyard. Everybody's driving by, looking and wishing, ooh, I wish I lived there. Ooh, that's a pretty place. Ooh, I bet it's nice inside. But little did they know what was going on inside that inn unit. Isn't that right, Jennifer? If only people knew, but they do now. Checkmate. They now know that inside of that white box, that small, minuscule of an apartment, it was hell on wheels. And everybody played a role in the abuse of your girl child by remaining quiet, silent. And everybody was living in there half-baked, half-ass. Barely had a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. Because that is the American way, is it not? Perpetrate. Because we see it every day. People walking around with Gucci slippers on and Gucci handbags, and little do people know they're barely living inside of their apartment, their house. Barely got furniture, barely got sheets, barely got towels, barely got food, barely got pots and pans. Stop me, because I'm drowning up here. Faking the funk. Because as I said, Florida is one of the most expensive states to live in the union. And when you looked in those crime scene photos, you all were just jacked up in them bedrooms. Stacked up like you in a damn dorm. Really not free Isn't that right? Metal stands holding your entire life. Silverware bowls, pineapples, drink cups, miniature refrigerators. Not even a week's worth of groceries could sit inside of one of the refrigerators. It's not living. Because you see, there's nothing like your own. Whether it's a trailer, a cottage, a condo, a house, it's nothing like your own. Isn't that right, Jennifer? And we have to ask ourselves why those women were living in these one rooms alone. One with a kid, you downstairs in a queen-size room, looking like a dorm room. Yes, very animated, childlike, stuffed animals everywhere. Oh, I peeped everything. Your child having a makeshift room inside of a fucking 4-bedroom condo. Please explain that to the queen. Why? Afraid to sleep in her own bed. Why? Because I got a feeling your daughter has been touched probably before Stephen Stearns. Checkmate. Come on with it, Queen. They don't hear you. Is that what we're going to find out about your daughter, ma'am? That's why she was probably having nightmares, couldn't sleep. Because one has to ask himself and herself, why would a child want to continuously sleep with their mother? Well, now. I believe you hold a key to that, dear. Because Stephen's mother says you had a lot of partners. Now, where would she get that information from, considering you all weren't that close? Really? The father says he wasn't that close to her. So where would she get that information from? You had a lot of partners. You were bisexual, drug addict, bipolar. Because your son was a walkie-talkie. She overheard your conversations with him on FaceTime because he loved to talk to you. But that's because he liked your child. We heard it. They talked a lot. Texted. Scared to see what those text messages are. My goodness. He was infatuated with your child. More than likely, he was assaulted himself as a child. Now, his parents speak like they don't know nothing, they ain't seen nothing, they ain't heard nothing, but it don't mean that nothing didn't happen to him, because you don't wake up at almost 40 touching children, penetrating children, filming children, taking pictures of children, and also downloading kiddie porn. Isn't that right, Stephen? You see, it's phases to become a sadist. Stepping stones. Such as being touched by a child or an adult, number one. Introduction to porn by video, magazines, enactments, touching, fondling, groping, penetrating. Now the child has decided that he has urges and can't understand why. Or she. Now they want to role play, touch others. Now we're peeping in doorways, windows. Do y'all see where I'm going with this? Now we have to continue to touch, pat, fondle, penetrate. Poof, we're now grown. Now all bets are off. Now the law says if you're caught, you can go to damn jail. Allegedly. But nobody cares when you're an adult that you were also abused, because they expect you to act accordingly. But we know that's not the real world. You don't get any help. You are going to be a sadist because you're only exhibiting what was done to you, and that's not your fault. But when you're an adult, you have to get help because it's against the law to engage with children sexually, period. More than likely, Stephen Stearns was groomed as a child. He had some conduct, some interaction with sex as a child, because you don't wake up peeping through windows and doors and cracks of doors and filming people. You have no reason to do that unless you have been engaged upon. And Jennifer, I won't doubt that you've been engaged upon. That's why you're so empty and didn't give a fuck about Malin and thought it was okay for your man to engage with your child. The reason why you let it be known the sex stuff isn't evil, because more than likely it had been done to you. And it became normal to you, normalized to you, around you. So it was okay to let somebody do it to your child. And what's going to be even more diabolical is if we find out you were engaging in sex with your child, because it's not unheard of. And the fact that you like women, why not? And it's not to say that bisexual and gay people are child molesters, but many people will say, hey, why not? Just say it. That's why many people don't think homosexual men should have access to children, such as adoption. And as I said, it's not to say that a gay man can't raise a kid, but you do like men. And people don't know your mindset. Same thing with the gay or bisexual woman, same thing. Because we now have more women perpetrators coming out of the closet for some unknown reason. Frankly, I'm going to be truthful. I would not want a gay man raising children. That's my opinion. I said that. Hell no. I don't even want you babysitting them. And it's no offense to anybody homosexual, but no. Because we keep hearing all these horrible stories of children being penetrated and groped. And common sense would tell you a man has no business, once again, groping a child. So what the fuck are you doing groping a boy? And usually these men be perpetrating that they're heterosexual. Stay woke. This is a cruel world. And the information at hand pertaining to Malin Sodo will knock you down. Because I finally got a glimpse into the beast's stomach the other night with the affidavit and the report. And what I saw almost made me throw up. What Stephen Stearns had been doing to Malin Sodo for the past 2 years. It was hard to read. He is a very sick man. And if you look at him in the police car being driven by the sheriff's engaging with him, which is macabre as well. What the fuck are you two talking about? Who cares about a cot and a mat? He's lucky to even be alive and made it to the jail without having a nasty accident. Let's keep it real. You wouldn't think that was a child molester sitting in that back seat of that patrol car, SUV. Looking all sad and somber, whining about a bed and a cot and all this old type of damn nonsense. What did he do? He just been sleeping with this lady's kid, taking pictures, filming it, videoing it for years. Really? Oh, I would have never thought that. Of course not. Because he doesn't portray himself as the neighborly molester. He's soft-spoken, quiet, almost demure for a man. But that's the rules, is it not? Because when you listen to different people talk, the behavior panel and different people who are giving their assessment of body language, they feel like he is a manipulator. Obviously violent if he's the one that killed Malin Sodo. So he's capable of anything and everything. but he plays quiet. And my mother used to say that growing up. Oh, it's the quiet ones that make the most noise. Oh, Bonnie used to always say that. She had a bad habit of saying that about men. It's them quiet ones you have to watch, Angela. The quiet ones make the most noise. I do believe she's right. Would you agree, Stephen? The quiet ones make the most noise. See, people didn't really know who you were. Meek, mild-mannered. You may have popped off at home because you were familiar with your parents, stayed irritated, upset about God knows what. Don't know what the hell was going on inside of your brain. Because you were irritated the day that you went up to Kissimmee. If we're to believe your father. Something was on your mind. What was it? Were you trying to reach a Malin Sodo and she wouldn't respond? Trying to get a feedback, call back, return, text? Because I'm trying to make it make sense. You had to go up there, did you not? It's all diabolical if you think about it. Besides the abuse and the murder. You had to go up there. Why? You weren't dating a mother. And this bullshit about she needed your help. Who the hell needs help with a 13-year-old? Never heard of such. It's not a toddler. Very reason why in those videos by the police, they ask those pertinent questions. Can she dress herself? Can she bathe? Can she navigate on her own? Yes. Then why does Stephen Stearns need to contend to her? Oh, you needed somebody to change the bird shit out the cage? Oh, I need help putting a leash on the dog. Oh, yes, and I saw your handicap sticker in your Nissan. Nice car you have there. Do you still have it? Jennifer, why you're hiding out down there in Florida? Why? You haven't done anything, remember? You're hiding out for? Oh, because they're talking so bad about me on social media. Well, that's par for the course, is it not? Because you put your foot in your mouth when you told the world you send your child in the bedroom with a man. You did that. That's a you problem, not a we problem. What do you need help with? Please enlighten me. Let's role play, shall we? You weren't really getting along with your daughter, were you now? Mm-hmm. Is that what this is about? Or let's say past tense. You need somebody to control her. She's not listening. And you should know that if she's not listening to you, the hell would she want to be listening to Stephen Stearns? He's her assaulter. It's time for the games to stop. And I kind of think that's exactly what the hell happened that fateful weekend. I think somebody decided they no longer wanted to play with Stephen Stearns. And somebody needed controlling. And you all decided to handle Malin. Is that how it went? She's combative. She's not listening. That's why you didn't go to the birthday party. You were tired of her. As I said, you probably know some people here in Tennessee, do you not? Maybe you're related to some people in Hendersonville. I said that. You became exhausted, because that's the word on the street. You were tired of her, threatened to put her out when she's 18, because you can no longer control the narrative. and the narrative had 2 feet. And that would most definitely be a problem, would it not? She's not listening. She's going to go out there and tell everybody our little secret. Can't have that happen now, could we? It's amazing the secret stayed contained in that condo townhouse. What's the old saying? If the walls could talk, indeed. Imagine what the walls are saying now. Just imagine what those cars could say. Stefan's car, that Lincoln, the trunk, my. And also that Nissan that made its way back to the crime scene. Well, now, you all have been busy. But the eye in the sky said, gotcha. Click, click. You see, you didn't plan this very well, if indeed it was planned or unplanned. Because there's always an eye in the sky. Somebody has a camera, doorbell camera, light camera, highway camera. You can't go anywhere. That's why they asked you all to give them their route of where you went the morning you got up on the 26th. Show me where you went. Take her to school. They kept repeating it over and over and over. You should have known where that was going anyway. But you're so stupid. You sure obliged the police. But we went here, and we stopped here, and we turned here, and then we went over here, and blah, blah, blah. Lord have mercy. What was the motive? Please explain to the queen. Enlighten me. What happened that weekend when you got to Kissimmee, Mr. Stearns? What happened? Why did you go up there? Were you trying to talk to her? She wouldn't talk? I find it interesting it said that Malin came back with the sister, not you. So you drove patiently back to that condo. I'm assuming you had a key to get in. You were anxious, weren't you? You couldn't touch her like you wanted to because you were in public. I'm sure the buildup was excruciating, was it not? I got to get near her, talk to her. That's why I have a problem with this story. It's because other people allegedly lived in that house. And I have to use common sense that somebody heard something that night that wasn't right. Because I got a feeling she probably died the 25th and not the 26th. Bring a receipt. But there's too many people in this house for somebody not to have heard something suspicious, suspect. You can't argue quietly. You can't tussle quietly. Pay attention, everybody. Unless you're restrained and had a partner. And even somebody in somebody's chat was saying on a video I watched earlier, oh, the angle of the pictures, he couldn't have been doing it by himself. He couldn't have been filming. I thought about that for a second. And that's a road I don't really want to travel down. Because I'm thinking, what pictures did you see? Jesus Christ, you people are really ill. Please tell me somebody hasn't uploaded filthy pictures. Because you really, I don't think you should have access to any pictures of the child indisposed. Come on now. You willing to pay for that? That's just pretty sick. I can't see the government allowing somebody to pay for child pornography that's supposed to be entered into evidence. And that's a whole nother story. But anywho, makes you think, did he have an accomplice taking the photographs of Malin Sodo? Jennifer, you wouldn't happen to have been there holding the camera, would you? Because as I said, what's going to be interesting if we find out you are also molesting your girl child? Because I don't trust you. And I know you have lied pertaining to the death of your child. I know you knew she was dead when you reported her missing. You've put yourself with her that morning. That's enough for me. You aided this motherfucker after finding out there were pictures on his phone. You showed no care for your child because that's what you thought of her before death. Checkmate. And I always tell people that. If they act peculiar when the person is missing or found dead, then they're telling you what they were doing when they were living, which was absolutely nothing. There was no love when they were living. So why would there be respect when they're dead? There wouldn't be. And she has shown she never cared for Malin Sodo. You didn't show up for the party. Allegedly, you sleep all damn morning while all this nonsense was transpiring. You didn't search for her. You didn't even call 911 to report her missing. Who did that? Your sister? You were detached. That's why you were looking all off into the clouds. First interview. Body cameras from officers. Damn near eyes rolling up in your head to spend diversion. Because you had been checked out. And you are like so many people in true crime stories pertaining to children. The reason why we talk about the stories is because the parents checked out and perhaps law enforcement don't have enough evidence to bring forward an indictment for murder. But all these stories are eerily similar. Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers, Harmony Montgomery. The list goes on and on. You motherfuckers checked out. You got tired of rearing your children. So you took the easy way out and you snuffed out your baby. And what's more macabre is that the story in Tennessee is of a 15-year-old and this one is 13. And that's not the typical age of unaliving children per stats from the FBI. Usually the children are murdered from birth to 8. But if you check out, it doesn't matter what age the child is. No different than allowing a developmentally delayed adult child to lay at her waist on a couch and she was found dissolved into the couch by her elderly parents. It's the same game. They checked out. So checking out comes in many ages of the parents and of the children. That's why you hand the baton to somebody else. You were tired of raising Malin. You should have called her father and said, I think it's time you raise your child. I've raised her as far as I want to go. She needs to come live with you. Or she should have went to one of the grandparents' homes. Why not? And I heard something interesting as well on someone's channel earlier, that perhaps Jennifer's mother was not a great mother. Did that ever occur to anybody? That she's mimicking what was done to her. Emptiness. Empty mother. Generational curse. So then she has sex, brings a baby into the world, and she treats Malin how her mother treated her. Because people do this. They mimic how they were raised. Some people don't go outside of the box and say, well, I'm going to try to be different than how they treated me. Old habits die hard. Sometimes. Jennifer, do you get along with your mother? So I haven't heard anything from the grandmother. Grandma, where are you? Grandpa, why aren't you all talking? Why is nobody talking? Oh, because you're too busy hiding out this heathen. This bobblehead, little Humpty Dumpty egg in leggings. Yeah, you are hot but a mess at that tax office. But you sure perked up in that next interview, night and day. I said, look at this heifer here. This is a chameleon if I've ever seen one. See, I pay attention. That's why you have to go back and re-listen to the interviews, because you start to pick up on things that you missed in the commentary. But my eyes are wide. I'm woke. The fake crying, the sniffling, the Stephen, dry tissue. Eyes red, but maybe not from actually crying. Mother about to jump out her seat and spinning the web about the daughter at the school. Yeah, did you notice that, Jennifer? You only jumped up when you were trying to basically tell us we weren't going to find her. Cameras weren't working. Who says that? Trying to find a child. See, this is what happens when you don't think. Oh, the cameras weren't facing the street. Just your luck. Oh, they ain't verified if that was her walking in the parking lot or not. But you knew that wasn't your daughter. And that was scary too. Because what we have to tell ourselves, okay, if that's not Malin walking in that parking lot, then that's still a girl child roaming around alone, unattended. Checkmate. With a pedophile roaming around playing mind games for the camera. Ah, you all missed that. A girl child was roaming around in that parking lot, while this pedophile is riding around with a possibly incapacitated or dead kid in his car. They don't hear you, Queen. Now imagine the person who realized that's their child that was hanging around that parking lot that fateful morning, and they've heard this story. Imagine what they are thinking now. Imagine what that child is thinking. Sweet Jesus. That thing was riding by me, near me. Could have easily gave me a ride. Mm-hmm. Hey, you need some help? Want me to give you a ride to school? And then she gets in, God forbid, stunning with a stun gun, any damn thing. Do you know how macabre this story really is? When you start thinking about putting a child into a car, either drugged or already dead, riding her around, going back and forth to the apartment complex for a clicker and all these different versions they're spinning about McDonald's. And then we learned this new street slang for going to McDonald's. I learned that from this guy's YouTube channel. I was up late night Googling that nonsense. It ain't pretty. Danish. I thought that was odd. Oh, I had some Danishes. Well, if you had Danishes, then what the fuck you doing going to McDonald's? Was he playing with the police? Let me see if they catch this. And I'm not going to explain what it means. You'll have to go Google it. But just put in sexual urban terminology for Danish and going to McDonald's. I don't think you'll like what you're going to find. Because I sure didn't. Underground. Dark web. Stephen, did you sell or upload any content of Malin to the dark web? You and or Jennifer Sodo. Because you got to be able to get something out of this besides physical gratification. You see, uploading the content to your phone is your souvenir, most, naturally for a sadist. But you also would like people to probably know your handiwork. Let me share what I've been doing with a child to the world. I won't doubt that you have uploaded content to the dark web. And I also won't doubt that you have also assaulted other children. We know that you like to peep. We know that you also peeped the roommate at the house. Don't know which female that is. but you are sick. And you've been doing this. And it took you to almost be the age of 40 before you were caught. And that's a long time to be out here being a sadist and walking around people and pretending to be heterosexual, straight, liking people, liking children, the go-to guy, the gopher. You've been here hiding in plain sight the whole time. And everybody now has a fucking story to sell and tell about Stefan, which is even more macabre. Your wing man, guy, friend, oh, the ladies liked him, blah, blah, blah. I could get his leftovers. Do you hear what the fuck you're saying? Oh, I was dating him and he told me he woke up with an erection. He had to turn around in the bed with her. I stopped talking to him. Can you imagine having that conversation with a guy? How do you just, out of the blue, tell a woman that you're dating that you've been sleeping in a bed with your ex's child and got a heart on in the AM, and you had to turn away? You had to share that, did you not? That's why you told her. But you left out one part of the story, Stefan. You didn't turn away. More than likely, you took pictures, video, and you penetrated the little girl, because that's also in your data on your phone. You're a nasty motherfucker. And you can best believe you are going to pay the piper one way or the other. Because in the state of Florida, you doomed yourself by molesting her. That is the death penalty. And then you unalived her. And that's also the death penalty. And it's being speculated that you will go to trial first on the data charges of filming a child, partaking with the child, and then the next trial will be the unaliving of Malin Sodo. And I pray that God will favor Jennifer with an indictment as well for gross negligence, child endangerment charges. And if they can find anything that alludes that she helped, aid, or kill the child, then so be it. Ring her ass up. Because I do believe she's complicit. She knew the child was dead. And that's enough for me. So we will wait to see if Stefan decides to turn on Jennifer. Gives her up. Will a jury believe it? That's another question. She's not liked. But we have to pray that she goes down, because she doesn't deserve to walk around. It's a disservice to children, to humanity, for her to be free. You think you're handicapped? You got some mental disorder? You're drawing a disability check? Well, let's see how you feel. You get your ass locked up, Jennifer, and somebody decides to break your damn arm or your leg. Because you won't be needing a car, and you won't be needing a handicap hang tag in your car. Checkmate. And you can shake, rattle, and roll up in that damn county jail and spend more lies about your relationship with Madeline. I believe you were tired of raising her. You no longer wanted to carry the weight, carry the burden. You wanted to do your own thing, because basically that's what you had been doing with Stefan Stearns. You were riding a ride with a nasty beast, and you used your child as bait. So I have no respect for you as a human being. And I don't care what happens to you, and I don't care what happens to Stefan. Both of you are sick, and you met on this dirt. 6 degrees of separation. The universe brought you two together. And frankly, the universe can end you two together, because both of you rightfully deserve it for what you've done to this poor child. I want to thank you all for joining me. It will be a continued discussion pertaining to the Sodo case. Please check my community page for updates check the YouTube queue for shorts. I will upload some shorts after this live stream. I will bring you updates pertaining to Puff Daddy, Sarah Boone, and this jumper case. The guy who jumped the judge earlier this year, he will be going to trial facing attempted murder for his assault on a judge and deputies inside of a Las Vegas courtroom. Comment on the said information on my community page. Do you think he should go down for attacking this judge, or should it be battery? Sarah Boone, comment. Will her lawyer be ready for trial come October? Probably not, but the judge doesn't care. Sean Puffy Combs, new grand jury indictment. State is sent out a subpoena for a hotel in Miami for dates of him being there at this hotel and an ex-girlfriend. The Seeds is my movie of the week. Now free in the YouTube queue and free on Tubi. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji 129 Cash App. Prayers for Malin Sodo, there's justice for her. Pray that both go down. Stephen Stearns and her biological donor, Jennifer Sodo. Jennifer, you can't hide. You change your name, cut your hair, dye your hair, get contact lenses, but you're the same dirty bitch. And you deserve whatever happens to you. I have no empathy for you. Because you put your child in harm's way, and now she sadly has lost her life because of you and Stephen Stearns and the rest of you who sat idly by in that apartment, and relatives that saw improprieties and weird shit going on. You are just as guilty. You are no different than Stephen and no different than Jennifer. Will there be charges against Jennifer Sodo for child endangerment, child abuse, child neglect, and or murder, facilitation, and or conspiracy? Will there be more evidence brought forward against her? I'm praying they find whatever they can, because she does not deserve to be free. Thank you, Megan, for joining me. Thank you all for tuning into this live stream. I'll be back with more commentary and content. And also, give me your opinion pertaining to the migration epidemic here in the United States. What should be done? Will they ever close the borders? And what is going to happen to all these people that have flooded New York, sleeping outside, being bused to other locales? Winter is vastly approaching. What is the remedy for the migrant situation? Weigh in. Have a wonderful week. God bless all of you. You have been listening to the Vault XL.